When a ransomware attack happens, the hacker threatens the victims to publish their information or perpetually block access to it. Ransomware attacks have been around since the beginning of this century, but apparently the first attacks occurred much earlier. 1989 saw the first known ransomware attack according to Becker's Hospital Review, targeting the healthcare industry. This industry is still a top target. Welcome to PwC Tech Talk. You may have guessed which the topic of the episode is. Let's get started. Welcome to a new episode of Tech Talk. In this opportunity, we will talk about ransomware. And we have a very experienced expert in the field. His name is Jornt van der Wiel, and as I always say to our external guests, please forgive me if I said that wrong. And Jornt works for Kaspersky. Also, I hope I have pronounced that correctly. So we also have Carl, of course, our co-host, which will be primarily asking the questions to Jornt. And well, welcome to everybody to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Jornt, for joining us today. So let's kickstart. I would start with the basics indeed. Can you tell us what is ransomware, who is behind ransomware attacks, and who are the usual victims?
So ransomware is a form of malicious software, also known as malware. And basically, there are two types of ransomware. There are the so-called lockers and the so-called encryptors. And the difference is that the lockers basically lock your screen, so you cannot use your computer anymore, in theory. Well, the cryptors, they actually encrypt the files on your hard disk. Now, I said with lockers that you cannot use your computer anymore. Well, the thing is, because it's a locker, there are always ways to get around it. So it's perfectly possible to remove the ransomware without paying for it. Well, with cryptors, it's a different story, because if the persons behind this malware version implemented it correctly, then there is no way to get your files back. Well, typically, but I can tell you more about that. But in theory, if they've done it properly, it is very difficult to get your files back.
So this second way of ransomware, way of shape of ransomware, it's more effective than it's more dangerous.
Yeah, and it's also the one that is it's used 99% out of the time. You don't see lockers anymore. They were there in the beginning a little bit, but we basically do not see them anymore.
Okay. And who are the usual victims? Is normal people or also organizations, both?
Well, we saw that there was like an evolution of ransomware. So in the beginning, it was targeting everything and everybody, organizations, but also individuals. It was just a matter who was on the spam mailing lists. Later, we saw that ransomware became a little bit less popular, and that was because Bitcoins got really popular. Bitcoins got really valuable, and also other cryptocurrencies. So the criminals thought that it would be a better decision to install crypto mining software on your computer instead of ransomware, because with ransomware, you can only use the infected computer once, because you can only run the ransomware once. While if you install mining software on the computer, you can use that infection for quite some time. So it is possible that the mining software will work for half a year or even longer, and that it makes money for you. Now, Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoins decreased, and again, we saw an increase in ransomware. And what we see for the last couple of years is that targeted ransomware is becoming quite popular. So instead of targeting an individual computer, the criminals target the whole organization and they try to achieve as much damage as possible.
But what you said is so interesting. So the price of Bitcoin can influence the number of times or the number of attacks linked to ransomware. That's very interesting.
Indeed.
Yeah. There was a couple of years ago, but now it's Bitcoin is less valuable, so we see that ransomware is again quite
Well,
popular.
it may come back because I was writing a blog the other day and checking out Bitcoin prices, and it's again skyrocketing. Maybe it won't. It's very volatile anyway, but
Yeah,
maybe you will
that's
have
true.
more. Yeah,
It's about I just read this morning that it was about 18,000 euros again.
exactly. Again.
Yeah.
Okay. I know this might be, well, we assume that one of the main reasons for people to enter into the ransomware ecosystem is money. But can you tell us other reasons there might be, and how come that they enter into the business? How does
Um,
this happen?
well, we monitor lots of ransomware campaigns, and every now and then we see somebody downloading ransomware variant from GitHub and trying to distribute it to make a little bit of money, and then they just gave up. But we also see groups that are really using ransomware for targeting big companies and just making lots of money, and that's the main motivation, just making money. There were some exceptions to that. Um, Maybe you've heard of NotPetya, as we call it. It was a couple of years ago. It was a ransomware campaign. It was actually a campaign disguised as ransomware. So what happened is that there was, if I remember things correctly, there was a company in the Ukraine hacked that created bookkeeping software, and then the criminals they added the so-called ransomware to the update functionality. And then the people who were using that software downloaded automatically the malicious updates, and the network got infected with ransomware. Now, the reason why I call it so-called ransomware is because it was never possible to retrieve your files due to some implementation mistake. And we believe that it was there when you hack like a bookkeeping company, and you add your ransomware to the update, you need to have quite some skills. It is not something everybody can do. And if you combine it with the fact that the ransomware was not really it was not really possible to decrypt your files, we believe that this was more a sabotage action. So there was a sabotage action disguised as ransomware, which failed. But yeah, like 9 out of 10 times, or let's say 99 out of 100 times, it is just making money by the criminals.
And may I ask you, could 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 the motivation be political, or there is no way there is a ransomware can have this intention? I mean, I'm just thinking, of the elections, late the American elections and any other election anyway. And could that have a political goal or objective?
Um, yeah, it could be, but it is always really, really difficult to say that with certainty, because you can only say that with 100% certainty if you catch the criminals behind these campaigns, and that is always very, very difficult also due to geopolitical circumstances.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, You talked about money being the main reason, and that's understandable. But at least for me, I think that they must earn a lot of money doing this illegal activity. But maybe there are also, I guess, there are also costs. It's not just profit. And I'm wondering if the profit, how much they outweigh the costs. If you could tell us a bit about that.
Um, yeah, that is also a little bit difficult to say, but let's put it like this. So what we can say is based on investigations that we did, and one of the investigations that we did was into a campaign called Wildfire. And Wildfire was a campaign aimed at small and medium-sized businesses located in the Netherlands and Belgium. And within 1 month of time, they infected, if I remember correctly, 5,800 computers or something like that. And they made about 70 to 90,000 euros within 1 month of time. And of course, they would have to pay some people and etc. etc. But still, it's quite some money that was relatively easily earned. So fortunately, you are able to make a good living out of making and distributing ransomware. It's just a question: do you want to do that? And I don't think it's really how would you say it, like a smart choice, because in the end, the police will always go after you, and if you get caught, well, you're in big problems.
Yeah, if you get caught, what are the penalties? Yeah, for these.
That depends per country. I know of one case in the Netherlands where two brothers have been caught. They were making ransomware. The prosecutors, they made some mistakes. They said that 1,200 people were infected or something, but in the end it was about 12,000, so they missed a zero.
Oh,
And,
Wow.
that makes a big difference.
yeah, and it was the first case, and the guys had to wait a couple of years before their trial, and they were sentenced to 210 hours of community service, which is not that much.
But the 210 hours is how many days? 210 hours. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, if you divide it by 8, so roughly what would it be? Less than 30 days. Oh, 26, Christina said. I see it's 26 days.
Oh, thanks, Christina. So, it's not much, really.
No, it's not. But still, the question is always, and that also depends on the law system per country. But in the Netherlands, criminal law has two main penalties have like two main drivers. The first one is to punish the one who committed the crime, and the second one is that other people won't commit the same crime. I believe that, and I sincerely believe that the guys behind this ransomware campaign that we're talking about won't commit another crime again. If it's enough for to scare other people, I don't know. 210 hours of community service is not that much.
That doesn't scare anyone, I think.
Yeah.
No.
And,
for the kind of money that you can get from it, I think.
Exactly. Plus, I don't know if I am saying something wrong, but sometimes I feel, and there are, increasing number of movies on cybersecurity, linked to cybersecurity, but it looks like the cool, smart, geeky guys are become hackers or are working on this type of activities. I may be wrong, but they always show you that they look cool, the cool guy, the good guy. Well, no, not a good guy, but I would say the cool guy playing the game. I don't know. Maybe that influence somehow the willing to enter this thing. I don't know, but
Well, the thing is, many times people get interested into security, and that is because of like the offensive part. Like, what can you do when you hack somebody? How do you hack? How do you hack computers, etc., etc.
yeah,
Um, but it's also perfectly possible to make a good living out of that legally. I believe PwC also hires pen testers. People who get paid to hack customers. We also have such a team at Kaspersky. So there's no reason to do something illegal. You can perfectly
okay.
do everything legally and still make a good living out of it.
Yeah, we have, for
Yeah.
instance, ethical hackers. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I know a couple of them. Yeah.
yeah,
Eh,
and we have them as well. And it's also so the thing that we are doing, the malware analysis, it's like a subset of it. It's really, really, it can be really, really tricky.
mhm. And is there any scheme for ransomware operations? I mean, who are the players involved? Um,
Yeah, indeed, I did some research for this one, and
mhm.
I've learned that you have ransomware creators, managers, or there are different names for each function. And well, I was kind of impressed about
Wow.
how organized they can be. So, how, yeah, sorry, Luis, go ahead with
No, no,
your
it's fine.
question.
It's because it's a very, very interesting. When it's such a there is such a sophistication behind this that for people like us, out of the fields overall, we are out of the field. We understand it very generally, and it's kind of impressive. So, can you explain a little bit how it works?
Yeah, so what Carla said is entirely true. There are ransomware variants that operate using affiliate scheme, and what it comes down to is you can buy a ransomware variant, and then it's up to you to distribute it. So you can hire somebody to send out spam emails with the ransomware attached. You can buy access to an exploit kit so people can get infected when they visit the website, or you can hire people who log into other computers and install the ransomware. You can also hire somebody who packs the malware so it won't be detected with standard signatures. Um, so there are quite some things you can do, and the interesting aspect about it is that if you decide to become an affiliate, you just need to know people. You do not need to know any programming language or whatever. You just need to know the right people who do things for you, and then you can start making money.
Wow, that's
Yep,
quite interesting.
it's very interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow.
And I've also read that there are some monetization models, and for instance, the crypto one, which you mentioned in the beginning of our conversation. Um, is there other monetization models, and what are the ones that are more? Well, I guess the crypto one is
The
more
crypto is the
trendy.
the fanciest one,
Yes.
probably.
Yeah, and you also see like recently when they are targeting campaigns, or sorry, when they are targeting institutions or companies, that aside from installing the ransomware, they also steal data, and then they try to extort people with that. Like, okay, if you don't pay, that's fine, but we will publish your secret data on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Yeah,
is
actually,
also something that is that's what's going on lately in a way to extort people.
okay. Yeah, in fact, I have been a victim twice of such email. I mean, I received an email and the subject was, uh, we know your password. And my password was there. It was an old one that I didn't really use anymore. Um,
Yeah, you
Do you want to say
recall?
something?
Yeah. No, no, no. It's exactly. I got one. I think it was. I have several emails, but it was Hotmail, and I think it was
Exactly.
saying that they knew my Apple password, and my credit card is there, and I buy several things via Apple and Apple iTunes, and in the beginning I kind of believed that, but then I said no, and I just yeah.
Exactly. At first, I panicked because they knew a password, even though I didn't really use it anymore, or it was connected to some websites that I didn't really use, nothing like social media or my email. But then I read the whole email, and they were mentioning that you've been visiting some websites, and we have footage of you doing fun, having fun. And then I realized, okay, this is totally BS, cannot be. So I just ignored the email. But I was scared for a moment. So how can people and organizations protect themselves and be aware if they see such an email? How can they protect themselves, basically?
Um, I see those emails as well, but they always end up in my spam folder. And that is because they're massively being sent to people. That's the reason why it ends up in your spam folder. And it's a perfect way to, to protect yourself against it. Like, like don't read stuff that is in your spam folder. Now, if something really happens to you, that they've really hacked your accounts or your computer and they've stolen some compromising data, you will they will probably send you some proof along with it as well. So not just your passwords, but some picture
Mm-hmm.
or some files that is that are quite sensitive and that nobody else should have. And when that's the case, yeah, you have a small problem.
I,
Okay, so they take one step forward, and then if it's true that they have the information, they will try to. It's kind of what is the name for that? Extortion is the word?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. They just try to extort you or blackmail you.
Or blackmail you. Yes, exactly.
So, in that case, what happens if you don't pay the ransom?
Um, it depends. So there have been some cases known where if you don't pay, nothing happens. In the case of big companies, yeah, they might publish your data. That happens a
Mhm.
couple of times.
Okay.
Okay.
And do you have any tips for people and organizations to protect themselves? What would you
Um,
advise as
well,
the
the
little things?
yeah, there's always the general advice that um, install the latest security patches on on your machines. Choose good passwords. Um, like get an antivirus, monitor your network, have backups, like the basic things.
Mhm. Well, it's always good to have this reminder. For sure, after I got these emails, I changed all my passwords and I have different ones for each different login.
Yeah, that's very good advice. Like always, you use different passwords, unique passwords for each
Mm,
account. And if you want to store your password somewhere secure, you can use like a password manager. And the
mhm.
password manager, you only need to remember the passwords to your password manager, and then you put
Exactly.
all the passwords there. And you can even have your password manager generate passwords, so you're quite sure that they are secure.
Actually, I have one, so it seems like I'm in the right path. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, very good.
I don't. Well, it's just I sometimes I have this two-factor authentication. I think it's called
Hmm.
thing, and yeah, it's of course safer. But I can tell you, sometimes I have had troubles. I remember to recover my Twitter after an update of my phone. I don't remember, and and I never got this code on my phone because I had changed providers, and then there was a problem with the way the phone was. I don't know what is the word for that, but anyway, I couldn't receive the SMS, so I couldn't double authenticate things. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's cool, but sometimes it can be a bit complicated.
Yeah, yeah. It's two-factor authentication is definitely a good thing, but it can also make things yeah, more complicated. So it comes at a cost, but still, it's very good to use it.
I think, Louise, you have a question for
Oh,
Jornt.
yes. I don't know if it's touchy or not, but we know we have researched a bit, and you help the Dutch police with something called a coin vault case
Yes. Yes.
that led to arrest two malware authors. Is
Hmm.
this the case you were talking about before, or
Yeah.
it's a completely different case?
No, that's the case where the criminals indeed got arrested and they got 210 hours of community service.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay, interesting. Um,
But I guess it was still great that you caught them, and even though in the end they were not really brought to justice as much as they should have, it's can be considered a success.
Yeah, well, that was definitely. So there were a couple of things that were really well positive about this case. The first one is that the guys they got arrested, they got punished. The second thing is because they were arrested, we were able to get all the keys, and when we got all the keys, we were able to make a decryption tool, so we could help anybody who was ever infected with CoinVault to get their files back for free, so they didn't need to pay the criminals. The third thing that came out of it that we thought that it was such a success that we started a project called No More Ransom, which is now a website with information in many languages on how to protect yourself against ransomware, how to report a crime in your country. But most importantly, it hosts a very large repository of decryption tools. So you can try to find out with which ransomware version you are infected, and then you can get the decryption tool from there, if there is a decryption tool available. And yeah, that were like a couple of very good things that came out of this. Well, let's call it investigation.
Well, it's really cool. I think this project. I will
yeah, it's
have a look.
success story. Yeah, just Carla, one question came now. It just came right suddenly to my mind. But does COVID influence the number of ransomware attacks, or is influencing? I don't know.
Um, we don't really have, as far as I know at least, any real statistics about it. But what I can say in general is that because of COVID, people work more from home. Not every company has gives their employees a laptop or a computer that is managed by the company. So not every employee has antivirus installed on it.
Exactly.
Um,
Okay.
and if you are spending more time on your computer, then there is also, of course, a bigger chance of getting infected with ransomware. So that is the very generic answer.
And by connecting, for instance, we connect every day to a VPN
Hmm.
system. Is 100% safe? Or there is some, I don't know, flaws, or there could be some flaws, or a very experienced hacker can just enter the system and find a workaround the protection.
So there are two risks. Like there are a couple of scenarios. There can be a split VPN, and when you have a split VPN, not all the network traffic goes over the VPN, but only the traffic to certain websites, for example, the company websites or the systems you use within the company. Um, there's also the possibility that the VPN is not always turned on. And when that's the case, if it's not turned on, you won't be protected, um, using the over the company network. Um, yeah, so there are some risks associated with it.
Okay, and does it attack computers and smartphones or any portable device the same way, or it's basically computers?
Ransomware these days mostly targets computers. We've seen some cases of ransomware that infects your phone as well, but then it are mostly lockers and not the real ransomware that encrypts the files on your phone, because many people have automated backups on their phone of their pictures.
That's
Oh,
true.
yes, exactly. That's true. That's true. Okay, Carla, do we have any other question? We have asked so many things, but maybe you still
I
have one
know.
question.
I have one burning question. It's more to get your opinion. I read an article, I think it was last month, on the BBC, and it was about a mysterious Robin Hood hacking group, and they were donating their stolen money to charity. And this was was considered a first for cybercrime, and it was puzzling experts. I remember that the charity organizations refused the money for obvious reasons. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, well, they obtained the money in a legal way, and that's wrong in the first place. So I wouldn't accept that money either, because it was just stolen money.
Of course.
That is the main thing. And if it comes from, and then there can be different levels of how bad it is. So you can say, well, if it comes from consumers, it is really bad. If it comes from companies who then went bankrupt, it is also really bad. Um, if it comes from companies who had enough money, well, you might maybe say it is less bad, but still it's bad because you just stole the money. So
Even if it is to do or to try to do something good. Yeah.
I mean, Carla, it's a very tricky one, that one. But really,
Yeah, I know.
even I am wondering. I don't know if, for instance, I'm
it is.
saying whatever, but what happens if Greenpeace, gets money from one of these hackers who actually have hacked the big petrol companies? I don't know
Yeah,
what to say. I mean, obviously, ethically speaking, it's not right, but
yeah, there are other ways to. If you really care about these things, I think there are other ways to achieve your goal as well. Perfectly legal ways. So I would rather
absolutely,
opt for that
absolutely.
instead of stealing money and from a petrol company and give it.
Well, I just gave an example, but yeah. Well, I think I have no more questions, and I have truly learned a lot on this field.
Me
Carla, do you
too.
have to say something else? You have any final question to address?
No, that's all from my side. I don't know if you, Jorn, want to add anything.
No, not really. I think I've said a lot.
Okay. Okay, no, we are really, really grateful for this. And well, I hope the audience,
Our listeners.
our listeners have learned as we have done, and see you. Well, here I will hear from you in the next episode. So have a very, very good day, and thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
so do you.
I have learned a lot about ransomware and ransomware attacks, and I bet Carla too. You know, common people, we hear a lot about cybersecurity attacks, but we cannot differentiate one from the other one. There are many, they are different, they attack different things, but I really trust you have learned along with us I also trust you had fun with us, and well, I hope you tune in for the next one. So really, really have a good day. Ciao.